Hi guys, this is Misty from the Book Rat, and this is my October rewind. So this is a look back at what I read in October with a quick thumbs up, thumbs down rating. Because of all the nonsense that happened in October, I had to drastically cut my plan of what I was going to read. So didn't read as much as I had intended, but here's a look at what I did read. Drink, Slay, Love by Sarah Beth Durst. Very pleased thumbs up. I was unsure of whether this book was going to do it for me. I thought that the premise sounded really cool and I loved the cover, but it was one of those things that could have been hit or miss, and fortunately it was a hit. It was really funny and kind of tongue-in-cheek. Pearl is a great character and the story just really works. A lot of fun. Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. Big thumbs up. I loved this, just as I was hoping to. What's so great about it is that it really works on a lot of levels. It's got the horror element and the little bit of gore fest, but it's also really funny and at times really touching. There's good romance and there's good character development, and it's a book I think could work for a lot of people, so I would highly recommend this one. Another fun thing about it is the writing is red. Pretty subtle, but just a neat little touch. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Thumbs up. This one was kind of weird for me because even though I did like it in the beginning, when I would set it down I would forget about it. It just wasn't compelling enough, I guess, until they got to Wales, and then the story really picked up. There were times that I felt that the photographs that were used were just kind of forced on the story, a little clumsily worked in, but for the most part that wasn't an issue, which was nice because it was something I was worried about. There were also times that the storytelling itself felt a little dispassionate, but for the most part I really enjoyed it, and it definitely fulfilled all of my desire for the quirky. The Mephisto Covenant by Trinity Fagan. This was a thumbs down, unfortunately. I didn't finish it. I gave it 100 pages to convince me, and it didn't. I have a review up, so if you're curious about the reasons that I abandoned it, you can find out. I'll leave a link below. But I just really wasn't able to connect with the characters, especially the main character, who I felt was going to be an eternal victim. And maybe that's not the case, and maybe as the story goes on it turns out that she really is empowered, but yeah, just wasn't for me. Red Velvet InAbsent, edited by Mitzi Soretto. This was a thumbs up. It is a book of short stories, so not every story in it is getting my thumbs up, but I was really pleasantly surprised by most of them. With a lot of short stories, you sometimes miss the connection to the characters and the depth that just doesn't often get developed. But with these, I really felt like the authors worked at developing that personal connection for the reader and making you care and not just getting straight to the sexy times. Hourglass by Myra McIntyre. This is a thumbs up, but it's a little cocked to the side. I really did like it, but there were some pet peeves that it kind of hit on that kept me from loving it the way I wanted to. It is a time slip novel, and it does that aspect of it pretty well. And of course there are plot holes. There are always plot holes in time slips, but it was interesting and I liked that. The thing that kind of knocked it back for me, and it was really weird, was the characters. Even though I liked most of the characters, there was something about them as a whole and their interactions together that just didn't really work for me. Also, I'm not a fan of insta-love, and Emerson and Michael definitely have an insta-love thing going on. I do have to hand it to McIntyre. She did put forth a lot of effort to make the insta-love plotline more believable, I think, than it really ever has been for me. There are certainly scientific reasons backing up why they feel the way they do about each other, which was interesting, but it's just one that just doesn't work for me. That being said, I did like the book. It certainly wasn't a waste of time. It was a quick read, and I will read the next book. Relations That Suck and Femme Fatale by Marilyn Yu. These were interesting. They get a thumbs up, though it's also a little bit cocked to the side. The thumbs up definitely comes from the creative side. They are both very, very creative. The pictures in Relations That Suck are worth it, just on their own. Absolutely beautiful photographs. What's interesting is I don't know that the story itself is necessarily so compelling. It's the way it's put together that's compelling. So in the Femme Fatale, you're getting the main character Ava's whole history, and in Relations, you're getting the very end of her life and the sort of her in a modern setting. They play off each other interestingly and are completely different and show a level of creativity that's really nice to see. I don't know that it's a story you're necessarily going to love and want to push on people, but it is something that will kind of keep you thinking, and the format I think you might talk to people about. And lastly, just randomly, I was really wanting to read the second book of the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning called Blood Fever, but it's the only one of the whole series that I don't own. So I couldn't do that. So what I did end up reading was To Tame a Highland Warrior by Karen Marie Moning. Now, this gets a thumbs up. For me to admit that not only did I read a book with a cover like this, but with a title like this, I mean, that's out there for me. The fact that I even bought this was out there for me. If it hadn't been, all of 80 cents, I wouldn't have bought it. But it's one that's been recommended by a lot of friends, and since I had read the first book in Moning's other series, I knew that I did like her writing. I don't think it's ever something that's not going to be completely predictable. You know what you're going to be getting when you pick this book up. That being said, Moning does it really well, and she also writes an alpha male that doesn't make me want to kick him in the balls. That's a huge bonus. Most romance alpha males make me want to just throttle them until they kind of undergo some character development, and then, I may like them at the end. But Grimm, the main character, even when he's kind of a jackass, I still really like him. And it helps that Jillian is a strong character to balance him out. She's not a shy little retiring wallflower. So, yes, I give it a thumbs up. I don't know that I would ever admit to having read this in public, so all of you have to keep my secret. But, yeah, it was good, and if you like, some sexy times, Karen Marie Moning does it well. So, that's a look back at what I read in October and my thoughts on the books. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments, or if you want to read any of them, let me know. Also, if you do your own look back at your month of reading for October, make sure you link it up so I can check it out. You can see my plans for what I'm going to read in November here, so make sure you check that out and let me know what you think of the books that I've picked for the month. Happy reading!